Imhotep. 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 Okay, we are here with Ahmed, my guide for a week in Cairo, and we were at the Cairo Museum. I'm sorry, we're at the Egyptian Museum in Cairo.
In Cairo, yes, correct.
Okay, Ahmed, go ahead. You got some good information for us.
Oh yeah, so we're standing in the oldest museum that was ever built in Cairo. We can't say in all Egypt because before building this museum, the Egyptian artifacts were just in storage facilities, protected, collected by the Egyptian government, and then they were just hidden. None of them was in display. So there was a story behind building this museum. When Auguste Mariette, the director of the Louvre Museum in France, visited Egypt in 1897, and then he found out that there are no museums in Egypt. How come the richest country with artifacts has no proper museum to display the masterpieces? And then he sat with the king of Egypt, Abbas Helmi II, and then they came up with the idea of building the museum in the middle of Cairo. The project that was actually meant to have a city that looks like Paris in Egypt, which is Cairo. So here we're standing in front of the entrance and the main building. You see the beautiful facade behind us. There are a few unique elements about this facade, such as the entire style is neoclassic style, and it took them 4 years to complete the building. And then you see the entrance arch, the two columns, and the two figures adorns the entrance. Those are the figures of goddess Isis, the Egyptian goddess. And then you have another figure over there, the face of the goddess Hathor, the goddess of love and motherhood. So the door leads to 2 levels, 2 floors, and then every artifact there displayed in a certain position according to the ancient Egyptian history or the chronology of the history. You can also see the initials of Abbas Helmi over there, the H and the A, the king who issued the permit to build this museum. And then there are white rectangular panels adorns the entire facade. This reads the name of the important cities and the important kings who ruled from these cities, starting from the very beginning till the time of the Greeks. And now let's move inside and see what we have inside in the lobby and the most important artifacts. So here we're standing before the plan of King Tut tomb, the famous tomb that was found in 1922 by an English expedition. And Howard Carter, the famous Egyptologist, he was trying to find the tomb of the young king for 3 years. His last year, he was able to find it, and this happened through a coincidence. One of the workers was carrying a jar of water, and then he dropped it over the entrance to reveal the steps that leads down to the shaft, and then they found the first room. 5,000 pieces of artifacts were found stuffed inside, they were all placed in such a way that made Howard Carter wonder why would they staff them inside in a way that seems like they were doing things fast and faster than the usual because of the sudden death of the king. So among these objects is Mummy Mask, the famous piece, the coffin, and the shrines. The only chamber or the only room in the entire period chamber that has decoration and scenes is this one. And you see the young king depicted being prepared to travel to the afterlife by the high priest, who happened to be the king after his death. So when you take a look to the plan, you will see the funeral beds, the guardian statues, and then the chariots, the wooden one, and then boxes for jewelries, and the beautiful shrine that had his mummified organs. The shrine had a statue right before it, which is the statue of the seated jackal, god Anubis, the god of the mummification, the protector of the cemetery, who was placed gazing over the entrance to the burial chamber of King Tut. And then when they opened the burial chamber, they found 4 golden shrines. 1, 2, 3, 4, one inside the other. They are massive ones in the size of the burial chamber. And then the sarcophagus that had 3 coffins protecting the mummy. And then every part of the king's body was covered with gold. Mummy mask, a golden cover that covers the entire chest part, and then finger covers, arm covers, bracelets, 120 necklaces. So that's why he's known as the Golden King. Around here we have the remaining objects. We have this beautiful example, the statue of King Tut, depicted as a guardian, protecting his own burial chamber, mixing between gold and black color. The black color is the symbol of the afterlife. Now the king is dead, and this is his spirit, his ka, stands before the entrance of his burial chamber, protecting his body and his mummy. Before this example, right over there we have the chest, the Canopic chest.
Which we saw in the mummy.
Yes.
It did not work out for the people who found it.
Exactly. So this beautiful alabaster piece is a box divided into 4 compartments, which is different than the usual complete set of 4 jars they used to prepare for every king. This time we see a box with a lid that was covering the entire thing, and then placed on a sledge with the remaining parts of the robe binding. This is the original robe over there that is dating back to 1361 BC.
Wow.
And then
Are these original?
these are the original tuppers.
And these are like 3,000 years old?
Yes.
Wow.
3,361 years old exactly. And then we have 3 ones. The 4th one is missing, and we don't think it survived the discovery. Probably was taken from there. So every tupper is carrying or having the face of Tutankhamun, the king's young face over there, with a beautiful eye makeup and the lipstick over the lips, depicting how young he was. And then you can see the delicate cobra and vulture adorns the forehead of the king, the 2 protective deities that usually adorns every royal forehead. It is made out of wood and then covered with gold sheets, and then you see enlayments with very precious stone, lapis lazuli, carnelian,
Yes,
turquoise,
lapis lazuli.
silver and gold. Everything about it is fascinating. The hand-dress.
Look, when you look at the body and the face, that looks like it was done yesterday.
Exactly.
I mean, it's amazing how preserved these are.
Yes, and this is the brilliance of the ancient Egyptian artisans, the ability of depicting the actual features in such an intimate position or an intimate scene. Depicts the king seated in his throne, and you see his beautiful wife before him carrying a jar that probably had an ointment, and then she's putting the ointment over the shoulders of Tutankhamun. That's a lovely moment between a king and his wife. And you see behind the queen there is a very big holder carrying a white cooler similar to the ones they are wearing. The dress of the queen and the skirt of the king are made out of silver.
Beautiful.
Yeah. This piece is not part of the collection. It belongs to Psusennes collection.
Ah.
And
Now, whose sarcophagus is this?
this is the sarcophagus of King Psusennes I.
Ah.
The man that his tomb was also found complete.
Oh, really?
So it's not Tutankhamun's tomb, the only one that was found complete,
Yeah.
but 21 dynasty.
But King Tut gets all the press. He gets all the
of course,
publicity.
because King Tut was discovered before this.
Before this, okay.
This was discovered in 1960
Wow.
in a city known as Tunis.
And this sarcophagus is, again, like 4,000 years old.
Yes.
It's amazing. I mean, it was just buried in sand probably for centuries.
Yes. And what's way interesting that this is a sarcophagus, but yet it is taking the body shape. So it's a mix now between a sarcophagus and a coffin.
Ah.
When they opened this one, they found a beautiful silver coffin. Silver. This material did not exist in Egypt. It was imported from Mesopotamia in the 21st dynasty.
You need a guide with you? You have a guide?
Huh?
You need guide?
The stone in front of is the replica of the Rosetta stone. The stone that marks the beginning of understanding the history. The stone that helped to decipher the hieroglyphics. Without this stone, till today we wouldn't know who was Ramses, what is written on the walls of every temple and every tomb. So the credit goes to the stone and the committee who took the responsibility of deciphering and writing down the hieroglyphics. So let's go back to the time when it was discovered, because it was discovered by the French soldiers in Cairo. They were actually wandering around the delta in a city known as Rosetta, and then they found this stone that they knew that it would help in understanding the hieroglyphics because it is written in two different languages, the ancient Egyptian language and the old Greek language. So they took the stone and gave it to the French Egyptologist, and this was in 1897. And then after that, the French Egyptologists, led by John Francis Champollion, his bust is right here, it took them 20 years to come up with the ancient Egyptian alphabet. So let's now speak about how they were able to do that. Before the discovery of the stone, the French Egyptologists and Egyptian Egyptologists, they were able to read the hieroglyphics. They were able to read the hieroglyphics within the cartouches only, so the names, not every text, just the names. And the reason behind that is the name of every king is written in a certain shape, very specific shape, known as the cartouche. And this shape is the shape of eternity. So they started the process of deciphering the cartouches before the discovery of this stone. And then when they found it, they were able to read the name, which is the name of Ptolemy V and his wife, Queen Cleopatra IV, not Cleopatra VII. And then Queen Cleopatra and Ptolemy's name were compared to what's down here in the Greek text, and then they came up with few letters. And then they applied the same process along the 20 years. So what is this stone initially? Why it is written in two different ways? The stone was a decree, known as the Decree of Memphis, written in 217 BC. By the priests of Memphis, a complete set of rules applied in the city of Memphis, and it was placed in the Temple of Memphis. The time when Egypt had Greeks and Egyptians living together in Egypt, and that's why they had to do it in two different languages. But when you take a look to the stone, you see there are three different scripts. What are these three ones? The upper one is the hieroglyphics. The one in the middle is known as the Demotic script. Demotic script is the cursive way of writing the hieroglyphics. And then the Old Greek, the third one. And then, do you think this is the only stone we have today?
No.
We have others written in the same way. We have also an older one that actually predates this one. It was written in 255, which is the Canopic Decree next to it.
Okay.
And this is the original stone. This is not the replica this
Oh,
time.
this is the original.
This
Okay.
is the original stone.
Wow.
The Canopic Decree right here follows the same way that this one was made of. A big slab of stone. The upper part is complete this time. You see the sun disk up there with its two open wings, and then below it, the Greek emperor and the rest of the Egyptian deities over there. And then the same way, hieroglyphics, demotic, all the Greek. You know, the ancient Egyptian history started 5,000 BC, but the remains of this period that was before the dynasties are very few. So we have found some paintings over there and early files of decorate and carve animal figures, human figures. What you see over there dates back to 4000 BC,
Oh.
before the time of the dynasties, before Egypt was united under the control of one king. The original pieces that came from the caves can be seen right here. You see, they were using natural stone. The collection of Yuya and Thuya is amongst the complete collections we have found. But this time, we found a complete collection of a noble family, not a royal king. It is the same artifacts, the same complete set of artifacts, but this time for a noble family. What's the story of Yuya and Thuya? Yuya and Thuya were a rich family that came from a province in Upper Egypt known as Ahmed. And gradually they became richer and richer through time by owning and buying land. Till the time when the daughter married to the king Imhotep III. So they are the parents of Queen Tut, the wife of Imhotep III, and the family that somehow affected the political system in Egypt and even the royal palace, because the time of Imhotep III was totally different than any other king. He opened the borders of Egypt to immigrants, travelers, trade. People started to come from everywhere around Egypt to live in Egypt and became Egyptians. And this somehow changed the layout of the country through time. Along this corridor we would have the coffins, the sarcophagi, but this time wooden ones.
Yeah, why are these so big? Because these look much different than like the sarcophagus, right?
Yes, but the only reason they are big is each one of them had 3 more coffins inside.
Oh, inside.
Yes, and you will see the size of the coffins. And since they are made out of wood, the size didn't matter because they can move them easily. They are
Right.
not heavy as stone. And then once we opened them, we found the coffins. We will see in a minute. But before we go to the coffins,
Yes.
this is the mummified organ, and you're looking at
This
an
is
original
just like in the
organ.
mummy.
Yes, shaped in the shape of a mummy with a small mask that still shows the facial features of the Thuya, the noble man. And then they were 4 in number in 4 jars. The other side is the rest of the organs belongs to Yuya.
Those are organs sticking out there?
Yes.
Wow.
The original organs.
Imhotep. Imhotep.
Exactly. Don't provoke the mummy curse.
Yeah, not in here.
Not in here.
Yeah, but the mummy can hide anywhere.
Yes, exactly. And now we have
Wow, look at
the
this.
inner coffins. This one had another one, and then the golden one still preserving or having the mummy.
This is Yuya's
Yes.
from
Yuya's
that
coffin.
picture up there.
Exactly.
Wow.
And the entire coffin is beautifully decorated with the representations of the 4 sons of Horus.
Horus.
Deities that were responsible for protecting the organs and the corpse of the king. And this coffin also was found in a previous one, but this time you see in layman's and the beautiful representation of the vulture over there.
You can see the blue. Is that lapis
Yes, the blue.
lapis lazuli?
Yes, this is lapis lazuli, and do you know where they brought the lapis lazuli from, Andy?
India?
Afghanistan.
Afghanistan. That's right.
So far east, they traveled to bring the lapis lazuli to inlay
Wow.
and cover the precious pieces and the coffins of the kings.
And they did the eyes back then, or is that something like?
No, they did the eyes.
Wow.
This is the way they were able to mimic the human eye, using obsidian and opal.
Obsidian, yes. Beautiful, beautiful. Wow.
We can never miss the longest papyrus scroll
Oh yes.
that ever found in a tomb, which is
Oh.
20 meters long.
Is this the original?
This is the original, and it's one
Wow.
papyrus scroll. It is
This
the
is one scroll. Wow.
One scroll, yes, one piece, 20 meters long, and it was found in the tomb of Yuya and Thuya, and it narrates their journey to the afterlife.
Wow.
The 12 hours it took them to reach the afterlife, and every
12.
challenge they will be passing by. And here you see them. Yuya and Thuya stands
Yes.
before Osiris, the god of the afterlife, in a final judgment, bringing with them their offerings that they left before him, so he would be welcoming them to the fields of the afterlife.
Wait, it only took them 12 hours to get to the afterlife?
Yes.
They take an Uber?
Probably. Boxes found having mummified food.
Food.
Yes.
That's food?
That's food. Different type of food, meat, chicken, some vegetables.
Interesting.
And those were the offerings we saw on the papyri over there that were taken with them to the afterlife so they could place them before God Osiris. And now let's go to the innermost coffins where you can see the original mummies of Yuya and Thuya that are dating back to 1075 BC. So their age is 3,175 years old so far, and yet
Wow.
very good preserved. Their hair, the nails, the fingers, everything is delicate and well shaped.
This mummy still looks juicy. It's still decomposing. Whose chariot is
Yuya
this?
and Thuya's
Oh yeah,
chariot.
still, okay.
Yes, the noble family, they had their own wheel, but this time it's made out of wood and
Wow.
gold plating everywhere. And what's fascinating about this, it actually has the first wheel ever made in the history of mankind.
Really?
Painted wood, and then a layer of leather was placed around it to minimize the friction on the ground. And then the first suspension system ever created could be found here. The main axe, there is the standing area, and then the area where the riders were standing, it's made out of strips of leather. Strips of leather that are going
Oh yes.
horizontally and vertically over the area where the rider was standing, and this is brilliant way because if the ground wasn't good, they wouldn't be, they would be standing in a normal way, and because of the suspensions that will be created through the leathers while they are moving fast, it's all dating back to the late period, the last 600 years of the civilization, when the time when gold wasn't really common and the gold mines were already consumed, so they started to use other materials. They were importing wood in a very large quantities in order to be able to cover this number of coffins. And then instead of inlaying them with natural stone, they started to paint and use natural colors, covering the entire coffin with the details of the journey to the afterlife.
So who was buried in these?
Oh, you can see these were noble ladies.
Noble ladies, okay. Oh yes, look at
This is the best time to talk about Narmer Palette. This is one of the earliest recorded political events ever in the history of ancient Egypt. We're talking about 3000 BC, the time of King Narmer. the first king who was able to rule Egypt as one united country after the big war that led to the unification. And then in the first 3 dynasties, the society did not accept easily the idea of being ruled by one man, one king, and there was constant trials of going against the king and doing rebels. And this stone tells us the story of one of the rebels that took place during the lifetime of the king, when some provinces from Lower Egypt in the north did a rebel against him. And now we see the stone depicts the king in this side in large scale. He's wearing the white crown of Upper Egypt, and he's holding the very primitive weapon, the mace head. You can see the king is fighting with the falcon, which is God Horus over there. God Horus, who stands above the papyrus flower. Papyrus is the symbol of Lower Egypt, and the enemies kneeling before the king. Do you think the king meant to punish the enemy, or he's depicted here and he about to punish the enemy, but he's also showing mercy? The lower part depicting 2 enemies looking backwards, and from their body position we can tell they are running because they saw what the king is doing to his other enemies, and now they are escaping from the scene. The upper part is very interesting. This is the earliest depiction of a bull you can ever find in an ancient piece, and the bull is the goddess Bat, the earliest version of the cow goddess, but here the cow goddess is the goddess of war. Between the 2 heads lies the Greek cartouche and the Syriac shape, the earliest versions of writing a name in a special design shape, which is the Syriac over there, the shape of the gate of the afterlife. The other face shows the victory. This is the conquest, and this is the victory. So this side shows the victory, or records the victory over the enemies. You see, it is divided into 4 parts this time. The upper one is the same. And then the second one, this time you see the king is no longer rising up his weapon. He's wearing a different crown, which is the crown of Lower Egypt, because he won the land. Now he has the other crown. In the second scene, there are 4 small men over there carrying banners, flags. Those are the signs of the provinces they went to conquer. And then 10 decapitated people right there. Their heads are cut and placed between the legs. And if you focus on them, you'll see even their arms are tied behind their backs. These were the examples. He wanted to make an example of anybody who stands in his way. And now moving to the third part, Andy, which is very strange and unique representation, depicting 2 hybrid animals. A body of a lioness, elongated necks, and then 2 lioness faces. From the way they are depicted, you can see there is tense in the scene. The faces, very close, the necks are united. It seems like they meant to depict them in a way that shows them in such a fighting position, but now they are controlled by 2 men, and those are the king's men. The meaning of this whole scene is the 2 wild animals, which represents the 2 kingdoms, Upper and Lower Egypt, are no longer fighting, but they are still in such intense way. And then the lower part depicts a bull in full shape, this time destroying the fortification or the enclosure wall of one of the provinces they want to conquer. So along this corridor behind us, we have a large collection of sarcophagi, variety in shape and size. They are all dating back to the Old Kingdom, and it displays the variety of stone the Egyptians were able to discover in the first 500 years. Granite, rose granite, limestone, sandstone, basalt. What you're looking at here is a false door. What is a false door, Andy? A false door is a wall that takes the shape of a door that only the spirit of a dead person can get through. It was usually part of the sacred burial chamber in the tomb, and in front of it there is an offering table or an altar where people went there to leave their offerings so the spirit can come out, receive the offerings, and then goes back to the afterlife.